So we got this house, Connor, that we're going to talk about. I don't know how it's...
bump anything.
No, everything was fine. You literally... Okay. No, because when you hit the corner of the thing like that, it just echoes because both microphones pick up the noise.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're good. We're all good to go. It says we're recording, so I'm not going to worry about that. So welcome back to Storytelling on the Plains, everybody. Today we have another awesome historical building to tell you about, and we're going back down to Chappell to tell you about the Sudman-Neumann Heritage House. And I hope it's Sudman. It's Sudman. I mean, yeah. I
don't know how else. Sudman.
Yeah.
But then B-E-N.
You would need an E. Yeah. So I think it's Sudman. If I pronounce it wrong, then I'm about to pronounce it wrong a whole lot of times. and that's okay. So we talked a few episodes ago about the library, and this is the other big historical thing in Chappell. So to learn about the Sudman-Neumann Heritage House, we need to go all the way back to 1911 or 115 years ago. I went and I did the math because for whatever reason, my brain was going, it's more than 100 years ago, and it's 2026, so it's got to be at least 125 years ago. And I'm like, that's not right. That's not how math works.
Has that what semi-quincentennial, what's it called?
Oh.
What's the proper name for it?
Sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial.
Yeah.
Semi-quincentennial. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So I actually pulled out some paper. I could have used a calculator, but I pulled out some paper and actually did the math because I knew I was wrong. So yeah, the house was built 115 years ago, and this is something that happens when you get older. I don't know if you've experienced it yet, but when someone talks about, something that happened 15 years ago, and you're like, well, that was 1992, and you're like, no, 15 years ago is 2011,
Yeah, I guess, the 2000s to 2020s for me is one of those eras where that doesn't quite get there yet.
Yeah.
I think it will, but hasn't quite
Yeah,
get there yet.
I haven't gotten it yet either. When you say something happened 10 years ago, I'm thinking 1995, maybe 1997, and I'm way the heck off.
Well, it seemed hard to believe that COVID was as short / as long as it was ago, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, it was 6 years ago.
6 years ago, yeah.
And it feels like yesterday.
When it started, I guess it didn't finish till 2022. I don't know when it officially ended, but...
Well, technically it will never end because it's endemic now, the flu.
When the panic ended.
Yeah, the panic ended for us. We didn't go into the lockdowns that my family went into in New York. We did have an increase in deaths here, but not like New York had.
No. I was just thinking I think it was like 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
The panic subsided.
Yeah.
Started to ebb.
By 2022, everything was kind of back to normal here.
The Pinkersons weren't in Menards guarding the place. It happened in Sioux Falls.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, the Pinkertons if you don't know who the Pinkertons are, they're a famous, way, way back security force. They have a huge history, go right back to the olden times, which would be kind of cool to do a story on. But, yeah, in short, they're a big security force, and they're pretty expensive, so what I heard, but that was what was at Menards in Sioux Falls, and they made you wear a mask or they would escort you out.
Yep. I know... back in New York, I know the Safeway here in town had early times where senior citizens could go in, and there were a couple of times I went and it was like 5 minutes to 8, and they're like, yeah, you can't come in for another 5 minutes. I'm like, seriously, man, but I get it, no big deal. Some of the places where my mom and my nephew shopped in New York, they had limited number of people that could be in the store at once. So imagine a standard Target, and they're letting like 15 people in.
At a time. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we didn't have anything like that too bad in
Yeah.
Sioux Falls. It was relative calm. But then again, I didn't go, like looking back, we didn't go too much to those places anyway.
Yeah, I didn't really shop that often anyway, and I like shopping early in the morning
And
just
that's what we
because
do.
there's fewer people anyway, and that's just my PTSD trauma stuff. So I really feel like I wasn't affected too much, and on top of that, I'm pretty super introverted, so I spend a lot of time at home or hiking by myself. So for me, a lot of things didn't change other than having to get masks that I could wear.
Well, and the Walmart close at 10 o'clock policy came rather late to Sioux Falls.
Uh-huh.
Because it all used to be 24 hours. And I was one of those people that go, after I was done with work, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Heck yeah,
So
yeah.
I would just go and I didn't have to worry about nothing. And I get my month's supply. So I never really had to worry too much about it
Yeah.
in Sioux Falls. And then Jason and I both worked at a greenhouse with 20 other employees in a 60-acre greenhouse. So it wasn't something we had to worry about running into each other a whole lot. It was just
Right.
about keeping the plants alive, which was a hard enough task
Yeah.
to do with just that amount, because we did have to let go of everyone else because they were part of production. There were people that were close to each other doing the little bits that they needed to do. So, yeah, it came down to a very skeletal crew. But in doing that, I was thankful to be able to keep my job. But that my whole thing I did was water. I just watered during COVID. I watered plants. Yeah,
Hey,
it
it's
was fun.
It's something to do, you know.
Yeah.
It's a job. There you
It
go.
was a job. It was
And-
it was a well-paying job at that time, especially with people losing their jobs. It was definitely something that I didn't have to worry
Yeah.
about. So
And I didn't have to worry about my job because I was working overnights at the shelter, and no one wants to work overnights to begin with. So I knew I didn't have to worry about my job, other than we only had 2 kids in the shelter, and when they made the first lockdowns, no one could leave the shelter and be sent anywhere because everyone else was on lockdown, and we couldn't take anybody because we were on lockdown. So we had 2 kids, a boy and a girl,
oh, nice.
for months.
Just cool. And
Yeah,
I've worked at this shelter at almost full capacity, and it's like, ugh.
yeah. So I got used to those kids. Those kids got used to us. They were given a little more leeway than what you normally would be given because of that. And it was an interesting time, but I was told I didn't have to worry about it. And then when they had those PPP loans, those of us that were working the night shift, we were paid through that loan so that the
interesting.
shelter was able to stay open.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a long rabbit trail from the Sudman-Neumann Heritage House in Chappell, which we'll get to talking
Getting
about
back
right
to
now.
Chappell.
Yeah. So that was our week, and fire seems to be sorted up in the South Fork fire. I did read
Yes,
that
it's all out.
they're monitoring hot spots and stuff, but it should be good. And I'm hoping August, September, I might be able to get out there because I'm working on that book, and I got a deadline of July 31st, so I need to meet that before I can do any more hiking.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to go out there. Hopefully, they got some rain. I was out there just a few weeks ago, and it is definitely devastating. I mean, it's just really, really hard to look at. I don't like to think of it too much, but yeah, I'm thankful they didn't get the fort. It came really, really, and I mean damn close. Like it was right across the street, right across the highway, and it would have gotten the fort and then Crawford. So yeah, it's really nice. Nice, I should say. It's
Yeah,
I always say it's lucky,
Yeah.
lucky, blessed, whatever you want to say, but it's yeah.
I'm glad there wasn't like a mass loss of life.
Yeah, or property,
Yeah.
especially Fort Robinson for all its history and all its historical artifacts. Yeah, if
Yeah.
we lost that to a fire, we would have lost a lot.
Yeah.
So it's good. that we didn't.
What is it, like 90% of the buildings that are there are the original buildings.
Yep, the original buildings. You have a one-of-a-kind fossil in it's placed right there. You have a one-of-a-kind heritage site with Crazy Horse. You have all sorts of things. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
That would have been definitely destroyed and irreplaceable. You would have never gotten that back. So.
You can't. Yeah. So I'm glad that was saved, and also glad that, we didn't have hundreds of people dying either.
True, yeah. Everyone was evacuated on time.
Yep.
The forces that came in were brilliant. We had the National Guard come in, State Forest Patrol, as well as local firefighters that fought the whole forest. So, without them, we would have definitely, that wouldn't have been controllable.
Yep.
And it was unfortunate. No one's fault. It was a lightning fire.
Yeah.
With very, very bad weather conditions. For anyone who's curious why it started, it wasn't out of any irresponsibility. It's just, it happens a lot actually out here.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it a lot, but a grand majority of our fires are just, they're called dry lightning storms, basically lightning without rain. And they'll strike the ground and they'll cause a fire out in the middle of nowhere, and it's well out of control before anyone even notices.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah.
And that's more or less what happened in this situation from what I understand.
Yeah, that's what I understand too. So, so that's all sorted, and so we'll get back to the Sudman-Neumann Heritage House. Maybe we'll talk about that Heritage House today. Who knows? So we'll go back all the way to the beginning, and Ferdinand Fred and Minnie Sudman built the house in 1911, which was to be used by them and their 5 children. And unfortunately, just before they moved into their home, their youngest son, William A., died in an automobile accident at age 13. It was kind of sketchy and hard for me to find some info on this because I found a couple places that said he was 14. So technically, my birthday, when we're recording this, my birthday is in 3 days. But if I died today, I'm still 55. I'm not 56. Yeah. And so that's what I think happened when I was looking at the dates. They put that he was 14 because he died the same year he was born.
Sure.
So
not much thought.
Yeah. And the Find a Grave website also lists 4 children for them and not 5. And I wasn't able to sort out where the 5th one was because William was listed there. So everything I read said they had 5 children. My guess, again, it's probably one of those cases where one passed away very young and they just don't record it. I mean, people used to do that all the way up to age 4 or 5, till they're sure you're really going to be there. Exactly. They're on a lot of records. So some of them, and I'm going to end up reading a lot from the application to the Historic Register because it's pretty cool and they describe stuff better, but we'll get to that in a second. Some of the more impressive features of the Sudman-Neumann house is the wooden pillars in the living room, the wooden stairway, the wood trim, and the wood floors. I love wood houses. So, the pictures I've seen of the house, because I actually haven't been in it, it reminds me a lot of my childhood, and I'll probably go off track talking about that in a little bit when we get to it. But it's a very cool looking house, and I'm glad it's still here 115 years later. So I'm going to quote from the application for the building to be listed as a historic place, mostly because I'm not an expert on architecture, and I want to make sure my descriptions are correct, and it's always best to quote the experts that have the right terminology rather than try and put it into some other language that I might accidentally be changing what it really is. So the application provides 2 descriptions. Each of them are correct but slightly different, and so it might sound like I'm being a little redundant at first, but I really don't want to rewrite this because they did a good job of providing a good image in your head of what the building looks like, and some of it is repeated but more detail. It'd be like saying if I said to you, Connor, my grandma was born in 1922, and then 5 minutes later I say my grandma was born on November 1st, 1922. It's a little repetitive, but it's more detail, and I really couldn't find a good way to rewrite it without half-ass plagiarizing, and I didn't want to do that, so I was like, screw it, we might have a little bit of repetition, but I think people will get it. So the Fred and Minnie Meyer Sudman house is a large, though simple, 2-story rectangular dwelling in a truncated hipped roof. Built on a concrete masonry founding, the wood frame walls are sheathed with narrow horizontal lap siding, while the roof material is asphalt-composed shingles. And I have to slow down my reading because it's a lot of words we don't normally use when we're talking. I'm talking shingles now just because the hailstorm made it so I need a new roof. But in normal everyday life, I don't use shingles and concrete masonry foundation. I can use those words and I know what they mean, but I just don't generally string them together in a sentence. So hipped roof dormers light the attic. A 1-story porch supported by Tuscan columns wrap around the north facade of the west wall. The symmetrical 3-bay facade features a central entrance with side lights. The plan is a nearly symmetrical 6-room double-pile arrangement organized around a large central sitting hall. Built by contractor Henry Dickmeyer of Arapahoe between April and September of 1911, the foundation is rock-faced concrete masonry, while the main structure is light wood balloon framing. Rectangular in plan, the house measures 42 by 36 feet. The walls are finished in narrow horizontal lap siding, while the large truncated hip roof is sheathed in asphalt composition shingles. A widow's walk, originally located on the truncation of the hip roof, has been removed. So this was as of the application, and we're going to get to the widow's walk was put in back in later, but this is from the application, and at the time it was not put back in. So it's this neat house, and I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to refrain from saying anything for a minute because I want to go down a massive rabbit trail right now, and I want to finish the description first. I want to note here for a moment that although Henry Dickmeyer built the house, no one knows who designed it. The information is lost to history. I've read a few different things, and nobody knows who the designer of the house was.
Interesting.
So it could have just been a case, maybe Henry Dickmeyer designed it, maybe he didn't, or someone designed it and they took it to him and said, "Hey, can you build this?" And he said, "Yeah, no problem."
Sure, whatever.
So we're not sure who it was, and there's essentially no way to figure that out now unless you find, Minnie's diary that she didn't have that says, "Hey, Bill Smith did it." But in case you're wondering, no one knows who it is. So 3 bays in composition, the facade features a central entrance flanked by side lights. An impressive wraparound porch shelters the main entrance as well as the west side door. The whole is supported by a Tuscan colonnade. The porch gives the house a somewhat informal aspect which obscures the otherwise stark classical formality of the overall design. Hipped roof dormers light the attic on all sides except the east. The plan is a distinctive symmetrical 6-room double pile arrangement organized around a large entrance sitting hall measuring 20 by over 12 feet in size. The room is actually an entrance parlor or sitting room in addition to passage. Focus is on the elaborate paneled pine dog-leg stairway to the second floor, under which access is gained to the dining room behind the hall. Large double-siding pocket doors provide access from the sitting hall to the front parlor on the west side and a study, currently a bedroom, on the east. The west third of the plan is devoted to the front and rear parlors, now a living room, which are connected by a wide opening and framed by a pine colonnade. The west side door under the exterior porch enters directly into the rear parlor or living room. The rear parlor is connected by a wide opening, also enframed by a pine colonnade, into the dining room, which shares the central third of the plan with the sitting hall. The eastern third of the plan is composed of the front study and the large kitchen, which are divided by the back stair. The kitchen has been further divided to provide a small breakfast nook and a first-floor water closet. A small back mud porch on the east side provides entry into the kitchen. I didn't go and look up the definition of water closet, but it's essentially a toilet.
Yeah.
You know.
We all know what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
If you don't know what it is, look it up.
Yeah. So that's the first floor for you. And for those of you who are not familiar with the purpose of a mud porch, because not everybody's an ag person, it isn't so people can play in the mud. And I have literally had people ask me about that before. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not an area where people could play in mud. Mud porches or mud rooms are a space near the entrance to a home where people put their nasty stuff before going into the house. Yeah. This includes...
We have this nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, it's typical Nebraska. It's where your mom used to tell you as a kid, it's like strip.
Yep.
Do not come in the house.
Yeah. Do not come in the house with those shoes on.
And it wasn't just the shoes. It was everything that was muddy.
Yeah.
And sometimes even more. You just walk in naked and just get in there, get in the bathtub. Like, wouldn't even have any preamble. It's like, just go.
Yep. If it was gross or gunky, it was not coming in the house. And you don't want to track that crap in your house anyway, but especially if your mom yells at you, take that off now. You just take that off.
And we politely call it a porch here, but this isn't like something you set out in and hang out. Yeah. No, it really is a mudroom. It's just a place where you shuck off your things.
Yep. You could leave your stuff there. So say it was wet clothes or muddy boots. They're not out in the elements.
Yeah, they would dry, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully they would dry, but you're also not tracking all that crap in the house. So I still sort of do that. I mean, like every time you come to my house, you literally walk in my front door and you take your shoes off. That's the first thing you say as you're saying hello. And it's what I do when I come home. The first thing I do is take off my shoes and socks.
Yeah, you got carpet.
Yeah.
You got to take off your shoes. I got wood floors. I am bad at that. But I also got a little machine.
Yeah, that does that.
I still need to be better at taking off my shoes.
Growing up as a kid, my grandma's house, you walked straight in the back door into the kitchen, and it had laminate. But there was one of those little rectangle-shaped things you put your shoes on.
Yeah, exactly.
And my grandma was born in 22, so it didn't matter that she didn't have a mudroom. Take your dang shoes off when you come in the house. And she didn't care if they were brand new shoes and they didn't have anything on them. Take them off.
My grandparents were the same.
Yeah. It's kind of a good idea because then you don't have to worry about tracking gunk or, maybe you cleaned all the dog poop or cow poop off of your shoes. But, even if you think they're clean, there's probably still some residue there. Just don't bring it in your house. If my house was on a farm or a ranch or built a long time ago, I'm sure it would have a mud porch or a mud room. I mean, most of the older houses I've seen around here and have been to
most trailers you see around town.
Have
I'm telling you, this is like classic Nebraska redneck thing.
Yeah,
you have one whether you know it or not.
Yep.
If anyone you're listening, go out to your front so-called porch, look for the chairs that aren't there, realize all the junk you have there instead, and then look for the dirty clothes, and there you go.
Yep, that's your mud room. So let's see what's up on the second floor at the Sudman-Neumann Heritage House. If you don't have a sense of the size of the house yet, well, there's 5 bedrooms, 4 closets, a bath, a hallway, and a sitting room upstairs. So just think of that. Even though, given the smaller size of bedrooms in 1911, that's still impressive in size.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a small house. The sitting room is right at the top of the stairs and serves as circulation to the hallway and two of the bedrooms. My first thought when I had read about that before I had started looking at pictures, I thought of the upstairs and some of the southern houses, and I thought of the movie The Color Purple and the movie with Jodie Foster and Richard Gere, where Richard Gere comes back from the Civil War, but he's like a doppelganger of her husband, and she figured it out because he was way too nice to her, and her husband was abusive. Anyway, it was a okay story. But when you went up to the top of the stairs, there was this big opening, and there were some chairs and a little couch to chill out and sit out in. And I've been in houses that are very similar to this back in New York State, and a kid I knew when I was a little kid, I would swear the Sudman-Neumann house is an identical copy of that house. Because when I was reading through, looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was Scott's house. That was Scott's house. It just kept going through my mind. Yep, I know exactly what they're talking about. So one of the neat things about this house is that it also reminds me of two houses I grew up in back in New York State. So you're all going to go down on a little rabbit trail with me right now. The two houses that I grew up in, one I grew up in till I was 14, and then the other one till I was 18 and went to college. Everything was wood, and those houses I lived in were not as well cared for as the Sudman-Neumann house, but our banister at both houses were made from wood, and you could tell it was well constructed for the abuse it took over the years. The first house that I lived in, you could slide down the banister, and it had one of those little circular things at the end, so you could just circle around and slide right off. The second house had more of a sticking up banister, so if you went down, you were, yeah. So we didn't slide down that banister all that often. My childhood home was built in 1920, and all the light switches were also push buttons.
Oh, nice.
So it was weird because it wasn't until I was like 14 that I realized there were other options for light switches, because that's just what was in my house. Which is weird because my grandma had flippy light switches that everybody's used to, but for whatever reason, I thought the push button things were more common.
We've gone for a full circle now, and now we just walk in and the lights turn on. We're even too lazy to clap.
Yeah. There you go. The home that I lived in as a teenager was built in 1910, and it had those sliding doors like the Sudman house that recede into the walls. Mine were between the living room.
Pocket doors.
Yeah. I didn't know they were pocket doors. We just called them sliding doors. But they're really properly called pocket doors. And I literally I'm using the word literally too much. I just described the pocket doors a minute ago. We never used them because my mom was a little bit of a hoarder, so those doors were popped open, and those little spaces on the wall got filled with crap.
Well, and the true pocket doors, they're flush with the walls. So if they are back and you didn't know it, they'd be open forever unless you really paid attention, because they usually blend in with the woodwork on the frames, and all you really see usually is the latches. And as you slide them in, the handles are inserted into the walls. Yeah, and that's the way ours were. When they were open, you didn't even know. You just assumed it was an open spot to walk into the next room. You didn't even realize there were doors there. So it makes kind of sense to me, because that house was built in 1910, and the Sudman house was born in 1911. So I'm assuming that was common across the U.S. For those houses, because they were built a year apart. That's where I'm making the connection in my head. Mine were in the living room and dining room. They separated those two rooms, and at the Sudman house, those doors that I've seen go into one of the bedrooms, which is fine. You can have them wherever you want in your house. It's your house. Also, the Sudman house has one of those awesome wraparound porches that only rich people had when I was a little kid. And when I was a little kid, that was the house I wanted to buy when I was little, because that meant
that you had made it. You got a wraparound porch.
Yeah,
you
wraparound
got
porch.
money, you know.
I do love I miss my old porch, which wasn't a wraparound, but it was covered.
A good size.
It was a covered porch
Okay.
where you could sit out, and I miss that. That's
Yeah,
fun.
and my house has no porch, and
Nor does mine.
I don't sit outside of my house because there's no porch. It's just you exit the house and you're outside. So I do kind of miss that.
I made a little pergola patio out in my backyard, and I had my man cave. So
There you go. I guess this kind of is my woman cage. I don't know.
Woman-
Sorry.
did you say
Cool.
woman
Yes, I
cage?
did. I did.
wow.
Don't drink and talk at the same time. Yeah, my woman cave. I don't know. It's full of crap right now, but we got this big, huge TV that I play video games on, and we do the podcast here. We got our Legos and all my F1 stuff, so it's mostly all my cool stuff. Those top two shelves are Paul's. Those are his dumb Lego things that he built. They're not dumb, folks. It's just I wouldn't build the space station, and then that one on the top, I don't even know what you call it. It's some creature bad guy from some video game he played. And it was fun listening to him curse because he was constantly screwing it up. I can't ever get this done. I'm like, yeah, you can. Just go back a few steps, figure out where you made the mistake. I do it all the time. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how to talk, folks. It's not like I'm reading this, and I don't know the difference between cave and cage. This is what you get. I'm a dork. So another neat thing you can see in the house is a permanent display of personal items, which once belonged to Virginia Smith, the first female member of the U.S. House of Representatives from Nebraska. She was the first and still only woman from Nebraska to hold a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Oh. And when I learned about this, she's now on my list of like 200 things we need to cover because I didn't know that. And she eventually moved out of state. I think she passed away in Iowa, but she was in Congress for like 20 years. So, from Chappell. So we need to do a story on her. So a couple quick facts about Virginia here, because I am going to do a full-fleshed episode someday. Before she served in Congress, she chaired the American Farm Bureau Women for 20 years. And I'm not sure, I'm just associating this with what I know. I used to belong to Nebraska Press Women. And if you're a journalist in the state, you usually belong to the Nebraska Press Association. But way back in the day, women weren't allowed, so they created the Nebraska Press Women. And and today, as a man, you can still be a member of Nebraska Press Women. They have never been non-discriminatory. So I'm guessing the American Farm Bureau Women was something similar. I don't know. I didn't have time to research it before we did it. That's just my guess off the top of my head. Also, Adrian Smith is from District 3, where Virginia was from, and is now the longest-serving Nebraska representative with 19 years served, but Virginia served for 16 years. So until a couple of terms ago, because you get 2 years in the House, she was still... right up till just a couple of elections ago, she was still the longest-serving Nebraska representative of any of the districts. So now, unfortunately, it's Adrian Smith. Yeah, I'll shut up and keep moving.
You did it, Adrian. Adrian.
Also featured is a display of the desk, chair, and flags from her Washington, D.C. office. And... I did go and double check that bit of information because I wanted to make sure that it was still correct, and it is still correct. And I went through this very, very long list of representatives from the state of Nebraska, and I get it why they put it in alphabetical order, but I wish they had put it in date order, because then I could just go, okay, there's Virginia in the late 1970s, and then go forward to the present time. Nope, no more women, so it's still correct. But no, they put it in alphabetical order, so I had to go through the entire list. And there were some names that I'm like, is that a boy or a girl's name? And I had to go and look, and oh, nope, that's a boy. So yeah, that's all still 100% accurate. But I did want to note I found 2 folks who had cool names. They're not from District 3, which is our coverage area for storytelling on the plains, but I want people to know that Nebraska has had 2 different representatives. One name, well, they've had more than 2. One of them was named Napoleon Bonaparte Giddings, and the other Bird Beers Chapman. But they both served from the other side of the state. So I'm just like, really? You named your kid Napoleon Bonaparte?
The parents had very high aspirations.
Yeah. And then Bird Beers Chapman.
Those ones are hippies that also had high aspirations for the kids, or they were high.
Yeah, but they were 1800s hippies, because Bird Beers Chapman was like late 1800s.
You could be a hippie.
Yeah, you could be a hippie then too. But yeah, I just came across those names and I was like, what? Really? And Bird Beers Chapman was one of the ones I checked, because I'm like, I don't know, is Bird a male or female name? And I clicked, and it was a name. It's a name, but it was a gentleman. So there you go. Anyway, back to the Sudman house.
You sure it wasn't Bert?
No, okay. It was Bird. Yes. And I clicked off the list to his Wikipedia page, read all about it, and then did a couple of more searches, and Bird.
Yeah, bro, the bird is the word.
Yeah, there you go. So there's one thing not listed in the application to be on the historical register, and according to the Town of Chappell's website, the Sudman-Neumann Heritage House was the first house to have electric lights and running water. I do believe that they meant in town, not in the state, but it's not particularly clear. Still, in 1911, there weren't many places anywhere that had electricity and running water. I remember when I went to, oh my gosh, is it Martin Van Buren's home, the former president. He had running water and electricity, and his house was the first house in the state that had it. It was very cool to see how it all worked. So
well, and by electricity, I assume they had like a generator. It wasn't connected to a large grid.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, this is something I guess when they said they had electricity, it's definitely a rich person's thing, because you had to have the generators, you had to have the boilers. For running water, you would have had to have pumps. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah. So they had some money. If you're wondering how such a house can be built, like Connor just was, Fred and Minnie had a bit of money. So they made sure their home could fit everyone. Fred worked for the railroad at the time, at the time of building of the house, and he also owned several general stores, including one in Llewellyn, Nebraska, which isn't too far away from Chappell, if I remember correctly. As a result, he was a prominent figure in town and quite influential. So his influence probably also helped him get some other deals to make some more money. But if he owned several general stores, he's probably fairly well off. Fred lived in the house for 6 months until he passed away. The cause of his death was that he suddenly died of indigestion. His headstone,
it's a bad way to go, man.
Yeah. His headstone lists a death of 1912, which would put him at age 51 or 52. It's weird because he had the money. Mm-hmm. He could have had a couple more things etched onto the headstone with the exact dates, but it just had his birth year to his death year, not actually the day that he died or the day that he was born. And that's not uncommon. I mean, I still see it today, but...
Well, and I've just recently been out to Montrose, and that's actually quite... It's not uncommon at all.
Yeah. I was just hoping that I could find something with some exact dates, and I wasn't able to. And if I haven't put you all to sleep and you were listening just a few minutes ago, The house was built between April and September 1911, and William passed away on October 1st, 1911, which was 19 days short of his 14th birthday. That's why I think everybody was putting that he was 14.
Yeah,
because he was right there. I mean, if people ask me today, how old are you? I'm going to tell them I'm 56. Yeah, I got 3 more days left of 55, but I'm going to tell them 56 because I'm essentially 56 now.
Oh, giving out your age.
Yeah.
I'm 23 at least.
Okay, at least.
At least.
I kind of got to a point where I don't care. Maybe when I get to be like some of those older ladies that I've talked to, and the one episode we did on the former slaves, where they were like, I'm 92 and a half years old. At some point in time, I'm going to start putting months in there. I'm 97 and 3/4. I know that's coming, but right now, I don't care. So the family moved in just after that date of October 1st. So let's say it was sometime in October they moved in. Fred's headstone says 1860 to 1912. If you can count ahead 6 months from October, which please tell me you can do that. That's something like a 5-year-old should do. That would put it sometime in April that he died. And it's all just guess. I couldn't find any more information, whatever. The house remained, though, and over the years, a lot of family members have lived in this house. As a matter of fact, it was continually lived in from 1911 until 1987. According to the News Channel Nebraska article, Heritage House offers a functional walk-through history. The last of the family to live in the home was Maud and her son Bud Newman. Maud died in 1986, and Bud remained only a short time until he moved into nearby assisted living. Maud was the last surviving child of Fred and Minnie. I believe this is why the house is known as the Sudman-Neumann House, because that was her married last name. I couldn't find any information about Bud, and the Find a Grave website only lists a daughter, Mary Louise. When Maud died in 1988, Mary Louise was 68, so we can make a reasonable guess that her brother Bud was of similar age and needed a little extra care now that Mom and Dad had died. But I couldn't find any information about Bud. Yeah. You know, I don't know if it was a developmental or a physical disability or what.
I just really hope people are getting a kick out of this. Our names out here: Bud, Maud, Minnie, and Fred.
Yeah.
So, that definitely sounds like Nebraska. Really.
I'm always struck by people that are like, yeah, my name's Sammy Joe. Oh, dude, we don't live in the deep south.
Too many syllables. Yeah. No, everything out here is one syllable, mate.
Yeah.
Maud, Bud, Fred, Minnie. It's easy to shout.
Minnie's too, but it's still easy.
You really get that high note when you're mad at her, and it just sounds like one syllable.
Yep, you hear them. Yep, you.
Get your ass in here now. No, you can't make it too complicated.
Yeah.
Like Jebediah Joe Smith. No, none of that. None of that out here. Nope.
He would just be going by J. Because that's all he would hear. He would hear that J sound, and he knew he was in trouble. So in 1989, Fred and Minnie's grandchildren donated the home, including many of the furnishings that had been in the family for several generations, to the city of Chappell. And if you want to read more on the application to the home, it's freely available online and details why the house is important, why it's been preserved, and why it should be listed as a historic building. And I really didn't want to bog down folks in the super technical architectural reasons why, but there's architectural. Forget it.
There's fun building shit there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And it's neat to read, but it would probably put folks to sleep. So just it's not that hard to find.
The crenellings, guys. The crenellings. Oh my gosh! Until you've seen the crenellings, you don't even know. And then the foundation. The 90 degrees on that foundation, yeah, it's a lot of that.
Yeah, and the special roofing. Yeah.
Which probably survived the hail damage.
I'm willing to bet it did. Yep.
Probably like cedar.
My roof, nope, this is the second one in 4 years. And when it, I did a little bit of video, and texted my nephew because he wanted to know how bad it was, and I just got a text back in all capital letters, Jesus, and I could read it in his voice, but I was in my living room and he could hear it hitting on the roof, and I, standing on the ground, it looks okay, and the guy that came to look at it, that we're gonna go with, he's like, do you want to see what the damage looks like? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, climb up the ladder. Can you climb a ladder? I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm 55, not 900. I can climb a ladder. And I didn't even have to get onto the roof. As soon as I got to eye level, I started seeing it.
I'm sure there's, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure the Sudman-Neumann house is okay. They probably got insurance if they're not okay. I would think they would have insurance.
Well, if Chappell got hit.
Yeah, if the Chappell even got it this time.
Radar,
yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, so it might not have, because it did come, the way that it came through it, I think it probably missed them. Yeah.
It even missed us by large. Even my house didn't get hit as
bad
as yours. No, not nearly, no.
And you're, like...
I was right in the downtown area, but...
Yeah.
Right along where I was, I guess it was mostly in Gering and then north towards the country club and golf course and that way. But after seeing my car, which got no damage, not even the windows got even dented, and then seeing a van that was out on the country club, out at the country club, looked like a couple of baseball-sized pits. Didn't even shatter the window; they're just pits in the window. I was like, oh yeah, I got off lucky there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was glad I had a garage this time, but my car already has hail damage.
So is mine.
I don't care. As long as the windows aren't broken, I don't care about the dents.
I really don't know why we're not setting that. You got all these social influencers and nobody's setting the norms for dented cars. I mean, you have these ridiculous people driving with uplifted tires are jacked up 9 miles high and out so wide the turn radius doesn't even work anymore. But you guys can't make it cool to make pitted cars.
Yeah.
I mean, so I hope someone's listening. You guys need to make that thing.
Yeah.
Somebody famous. Taylor Swift. Get
go do that.
Go do that for your wedding.
Yeah, there you go.
Just go get all your expensive cars and put them out in a hailstorm. And then that'd be they call it the Tay-Tay effect.
I was just thinking that's how I could pay for my new roof. I could rent my car out to Taylor Swift for the day.
She could destroy the insurance industry doing that. If anyone can do it, she can. I hope you're listening, Tay-Tay.
Yeah.
Do it. Get your cars out there in the hail. Get it dented. It's cool now because she said so.
Yes. Because I just follow what other people tell me to do.
So that's the cool thing about being my age. I'm cool because I don't care, and it's just that way anyway.
Yeah. My car's got dents. I don't care.
It's just like my holy jeans the other day. A girl complimented, thought that was like the newest thing. It's like, no.
Oh, are holy jeans back in again?
No, I don't think so. She just thought they were cool.
Okay.
I have no problem.
My favorite pair of jeans are fraying on the bottom, and people think it looks cool. And I'm like, they're fraying on the bottom because I have a 29-inch inseam, and all the pants are 28 or 30. So I either look like I have high waters and I'm going to a flood, or they hang too low.
You're cool if you look poor, just as long as you're not really poor.
Yeah. Well, the Sudmans were not poor, that's for sure.
Or were they?
Maybe after building this house, they were. Who knows? So the house was officially listed on the National Register of Historic Places on December 6, 1990. The home has been restored to its original condition with the period furniture and is operated today by the Chappell Museum Association. So I'm not sure if I wrote it down. Yeah, I did. I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to read what I wrote. The Widow's Walk, which was removed and can be seen in the removed photos from 1988, have apparently been restored as well.
Can you explain real quick what's a Widow's Walk?
No.
No, I don't know. Is that what I used to call a suicide balcony? Is like really narrow, and you just went out there. Like, what do you mean? Or was it an actual
I think
hallway or a walk?
It's outside the house. It's like a little walkway outside the house.
Okay, so it's like a little suicide balcony.
Yeah.
That's not the right word. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word. But it's like those little things where it doesn't make much sense to have it there. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot to look up what a widow's walk was, but I think I know what it is. But it is a walk that was like outside. So it's restored. And one day
restored.
I'll get to Chappell and get a picture and I'll know exactly what that is.
I'm going to walk it.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm stupid.
No.
So they have the Chappell Museum Association has an arrangement to lease the house from the city for $1, and they have hosted many events at the house. So even though the family donated the house to the city, of course, doesn't have the money to hire someone to manage the house. So they have the Museum Association, which is all volunteers, do that.
Do the affairs, yeah.
And because it all needs to go through some legal channels, they got to pay $1 a year to have access to it. It's one of those things where we don't have money to pay somebody, even $30,000 to do this job, but these other folks are volunteers and they want to do it. But the way that everything is written legally, it has to have some monetary value. So it's just a $1. According to an article on KOLN's website, they have hosted tea parties, card parties, mystery dinners, Christmas, and tours of the home. And now I'm going to sound like a shill for the Sudman-Neumann House. If you want to help preserve the house, you can make a donation or become a member. There are also some small grants they get, which help. But like everything else in America, it's those small donations that help the most. It's run entirely by volunteers, and they're always happy to take on new people. And the last thing I could find is that if you want to take a tour of the house, call Sharon Beers at 308-874-6346. And I'm always reminded of a little bit can go a long way. Back in 2005, was it 4 or 5, when there were those horrible tsunamis in Indonesia. We happened to be in England visiting my in-laws at the time, and when we got on the plane, they had a little bucket. Can you put your spare change in the bucket, to donate? And I know from traveling so much that when you come back to America, they'll change your bills back, but they don't change the coins back. And so it was only like $2 or $3 that I had in change. And it was either a week or 10 days, I can't remember which. They had raised almost $25 million just from people chucking their spare change in. So it was $2 or $3 that for me was going to sit in a jar until 5-6 years from now, when I go back to England. So I'm like, it's just my spare change. I can't spend it anymore anyway. And that's pretty much what everybody thought. I'm sure some people put some extra cash in, but every little bit adds up. And I remember when, I don't want to get political, but this is a good example. When Bernie Sanders ran, he was taking $7 donations, and he raised millions of dollars doing that. So every little bit helps, and for this place, every little bit helps. If you have $1 or $2, you can send it on over to them so that this house can be there for future generations. And that's all I got about the Sudman-Neumann House. It's pretty cool. It reminded me a lot of my childhood in some aspects, and I don't know. I think it would still be cool if I had a house that had a wraparound porch, or a porch. I've got that little square thing out the back door, and
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. Everybody else that's here, there were 3 duplexes built. They all have bigger porches than me. And if you look at my dining room, there's no electrical outlets in it. And I think my dining room was originally part of the porch in the back, because it is roughly as big as everybody else's porches. But somebody along the way enclosed it, so now it's a dining room that we don't use. I mean, there's a table out there, but we don't use it. My cat sleeps on the table, and I don't get upset about it because we don't actually eat at the table. So, I don't care. So it was neat for me just to think of those things from my childhood and the similarities. So if you ever get down to Chappell, go have a look at the Sudman-Neumann house. And next time, I'll come up with something else we can talk about. Not come up with. I already know what it's going to be. I just haven't finished writing it yet. But that's it for now. I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.